Oh, it pains me to make this video. It feels great to have this game in my possession once again, I swear. I played this game non-stop when it was first released last year, and now it's been a full year since I've actually played it. Well, not because I didn't like the game or anything, I love this game. However, I ended up leaving it back in Dubai when I came back to the UK last year for a 2-week holiday in the summer. Next thing I know, I'm staying back in the UK because I wanted to come back permanently. Yeah, I could have just rebought the game, but fuck you, I'm awkward, I ain't doing that shit. And now I can finally show the world for the first time in a full year who runs this green light ride. Which shouldn't be a problem. Shouldn't be a problem at all, considering how popular this game is, right? Right? Like, guys, it's been a full year since I've begun. The game's still popular, right? I'll tell you what sucks though. What sucks is I gotta start all the way back from square one with nothing unlocked. I am a basic bitch now. I had everything and it's all locked away on my UA account. It's all gone. But you know what? No, that's okay. That's okay. We can earn everything back by earning that coinage before gambling it all on mod pods in order to get everything that I had on my UAE account. And the way we earn that coinage is by beating down everyone else around the world, which again shouldn't be a problem considering just how popular this game is. Anyway, let's do this. Alright, that took longer than I thought. Clearly, the servers can't handle the amount of people playing the game today, which is why it's been having difficulty finding me a race. Which is fine now, because we finally found one. This game's dead. Well, actually, the game's been dead for quite a while now. And that sucks. That sucks ass, because, as I said, I love this game. But at the end of the day, this was sadly one of those games that was basically screwed over from the beginning. How exactly? Well, I've come up with a 3-stage plan on the game's failure and burial, which I'd like to go over with all of you right now. So, let's get on with it. What exactly happened to Team Sonic Racing? When I say this game was screwed over from the beginning, I'm not even joking. I personally think if the game had come out on its original release date, it would have had more time in the spotlight. The game was originally supposed to come out sometime during the winter of 2018. I tried to find any kind of original release date, but I just couldn't find anything. Maybe I missed it by accident whilst doing my research, but the point is the game suffered a pretty big delay, not releasing until the 21st of May 2019, a potential 3 to 5 month delay. But why was this? Why exactly was the game delayed for that long? Well, Sega themselves were the ones who told us about the game's delay, basically just telling us that them and Sumo Digital were working on improving the game, honing the title to enhance the player's experience. Now, some people were predicting that the reason for the delay may have been for the sake of more content being added to it. Guys like Polygon, for example, were saying at the time how the game was lacking the content and style that would normally engage the player, and that was definitely noticeable with the final product, even I will admit. The game left us lacking a bit, like, where was the rest of the game, some people would say. But yeah, with those factors, most people would say that a delay would actually be beneficial, wouldn't it? For the sake of improving the game further, it would be a good idea to delay it, right? Listen, that would normally be the case, but like I said, this is a 3-stage plan. The delay would be the beginning of the game's burial. It would create the game's burial events, so to say. Why? Well, take a wild guess on what was coming out literal weeks after the game's release. On the 20th of June 2019, just weeks after Team Sonic Racing's delayed release, came a game that the whole world more or less was waiting for, that being Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, a remake of the original Crash Team Racing released on the PlayStation 1 back in 1999. The game instantly took the gaming world by storm. Beanox were going all the way to make sure this game would be remembered for years to come. Now, how did Beanox do that exactly? Well, like Braun Strowman isn't finished with Roman Reigns, Beanox weren't finished with Crash Team Racing. Over the next 8 months, Beanox would constantly update the game, releasing a new Grand Prix event every single month up to February of this year. The Grand Prix would all be centered around a certain event, whether it would be a holiday event like for Halloween or Christmas, or just for breaking the internet with the Spyro and Friends event. We finally got a Crash and Spyro crossover! Just forget that these disgraces exist in our plane of existence. Thank you very much. The point is, Beanox were dedicated to making Crash Nitro Fueled a god-like game, a rare occasion where the developers are actually putting the game and the players first, instead of the profit like we've seen with most game developers these days, and I thank them for keeping the game new and fresh for as long as they did, and I can't wait to see what they and Toys for Bob have in store for us with Crash 4 coming out next month. But anyway, back to TSR. Listen, I'm sure Sega and Sumo Digital were dedicated to making their game as good as possible. They clearly showed that by delaying the game in the first place. The problem is they were creating a finished product, and what I mean by that is that the game would release, and that's it. That is all you're getting. Enjoy! And sadly, TSR stood no chance against Crash Team Racing. That was getting filled to the brim with new content pretty much every month. And going back to the delay itself, I personally think if TSR had been released back in the winter as predicted, then the game would have stayed in the spotlight for a bit longer. Crash Nitro Fueled more or less kicked TSR into Pennywise's sewer, never to be seen again. And honestly, I can't blame everyone for just ignoring TSR after Nitro Fueled's release. Hell, don't be too surprised if I end up popping TSR back up on the shelf as I go back to playing Spyro in a fucking Crash game. However, notice how I said it would have stayed in the spotlight a bit longer. Wait, just a bit? How long exactly would a bit be in this context? Well, sadly, I doubt it would have been long at all. And it all comes down to one factor that has more or less been well documented now by various YouTubers and gaming websites. Now, unfortunately, I never got the opportunity to play Racing Transform, so I kinda gotta go off on what other people have said in regards to this topic, but honestly, their arguments make sense. One of the biggest cases made tends to be how Racing Transform's gameplay is just more fun in general than TSR's. Racing Transform's gameplay is, well, obviously, based around your vehicle, guess what? Transforming! On most maps in the game, things would constantly change on the track, which results in you even going through it a different way. So for example, you could be having a standard race on the first lap, and all of a sudden, the track has been ripped apart and destroyed, resulting in you having to either fly or cruise through the waves for the rest of the race. Just thinking about that gets me hyped up if I'm being honest here. TSR, however, tones the pace down quite a bit. Now, I love the team gameplay here. How you must work together with your teammates in order to achieve victory, which can be done by giving each other slipstreams and slingshots, giving items to those stuck in the back, all to build up a meter that grants you a special team boost, something I find incredibly satisfying when I eventually earn it. That's all great, but it's definitely a step down from its predecessor, and instantly people will talk about how Racing Transformed is and compare that to TSR. And when comparing the two games, it can be easily seen that the more recent game is definitely lacking in content, something that turned off a lot of people when it came to playing it. And just like that, TSR was practically buried. Something that I think would have happened regardless if it hadn't have been delayed. I will say that Nitro Fueled put TSR straight to sleep upon its release, but sadly, I doubt it would have lasted much longer regardless, because of the simple fact that compared to Racing Transformed, and hell, even All Stars Racing, the game is lacking. It's lacking bad. And for this to be the finished product, yeah, the game didn't stand a chance. And to sum up the 3-stage plan, the delay dug the grave up for TSR, Crash Nitro Fueled would bury it, and the fact that it couldn't live up to its predecessors is the reason why TSR is more or less now resting in peace. I love this game, and I most likely always will, but Sega should have realised that the finished product they gave us wouldn't be enough for it to last long in this day and age, and sadly, that's exactly what happened. And even more sadly, it is now more or less on the same boat as Sonic Lost World, as in, 10 years down the line, there probably won't be anyone around to tell you how great the game was. Why? Because there'll be no one around who actually remembers the game to begin with. Rest in peace, TSR. Let this be a lesson, Sega. You've got to go all out for Sonic's 30th anniversary, otherwise Mario's 35th will just destroy it and bury it. Don't let Nintendo do that, Sega. Our Spiky Blue Boy has been through enough.